called by our city recorder, or who's sitting in for our city recorder, Ms. Regina Thornton.
Mayor Roland Dykes.
Here.
Vice Mayor Connie Bob.
Here.
Alderman Mike Hansel.
Here.
Alderwoman Luana Ottinger. Here. Alderman Randy Reagan.
Here.
Alderman Steve Smith.
Here.
City Attorney Terry Hurst.
Here.
City Administrator James Fincham.
Here.
We do have a quorum, and we're able to do the city's business. Item 3. In your booklet, you have a copy of the minutes from the previous meeting of October 10th, 2023. If you've had a chance to look those over, we'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the board to approve the minutes of the previous meeting of October 10th, 2023. It has been properly seconded. Please signify your acceptance by the normal sign of aye. Aye. Nays, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Proclamations and a recognition of citizens by the mayor, of which I have none at this point. Item 5 is communications from the city administrator, Mr. James Fincham.
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing I have to discuss tonight is the interview process for the new police chief. I have passed out to each one of you copies of the 7 resumes that have been provided from the police department for the position. As you know, we are scheduled to hold the interviews on November the 27th, which is a Monday. The first thing that we need to do is set a time for that to begin. With 7 people, it's going to take some time. So I know Connie has the most restrictive schedule because of his bus route.
Bus is no problem, it's my anniversary.
Oh, is that it?
But I'll make it.
Okay. We don't want to get you killed either. So,
If I don't make it to the December meeting, you'll know why.
okay.
God, it's my anniversary too, so
but-
We're going to both sacrifice.
exactly.
Well, we need to set a time to begin. So that's going to be up to whatever you all, however you all want to do it. We'll start at whatever time that there's an agreement on. The earlier we start, the earlier we'll get to go home. Now, one thing, if we do stay late in the evening, we're going to take a break and bring in pizza to kind of nourish ourselves and take a break for about 30 minutes and then finish up. But the earlier we begin, the earlier we'll be done.
I'm okay. 4:30 on.
4:30? Does 4:30 work for everybody?
I got all day.
Me too. All right, 4:30 it is. Now, what we'll do, we'll take, when we get about halfway through, we'll take a break and have some pizza and sodas and snacks and stuff, if everybody's good with that menu. All right. As I said, you got 7 resumes to study, and you've got from now until then to familiarize yourself with them. We're going to bring them in alphabetical order and go till we're done. Like I say, other than taking a break. After we get about halfway through, we'll take a break and have a bite to eat and then get back at it.
Is there a uniform set of questions?
That was going to be my next thing. I have drawn up some questions, 3 or 4, but if there's any questions that you all want to ask, certainly you can ask those. And you know, the first thing, which I don't want to start saying what they are because people start planning for them, but I mean, you can guess. Some of them will be very basic, you know. But if there's specific things that you want to ask, you can ask it, or if you want me or the mayor to ask it, we'd be glad to for you. But if you want to ask your own questions, you certainly can do that, and you can also, anytime during the process, you can ask a follow-up question or somebody to give more detail on whatever whatever topic we're on. If you feel like you've not had enough detail on it, certainly you can chime in at any time and ask a follow-up question. But as far as the format for that, we can do it either way. That's another thing that I was going to say, however you want to do it. If you want to submit your questions to me, I'll be glad to put them on the list. If I'd already talked to Lou Ann a little bit about it, and she said I'd already stole some of her questions. So, and I'm sure that everybody has the same interest in the basic premise of what the job's about. So, but if you have a specific question you'd like, I'll be glad to ask it for you, or you're welcome to ask it yourself, either one. I'm good either way. But there will be some set questions that will be asked to everybody.
Okay. But would the questions that's submitted be asked to all?
If it's, yeah, if they're on the list,
I mean,
the same questions will be asked to everybody.
Yeah, we don't want to be.
No. Now, the follow-up questions might be different because you don't know what somebody's going to say. But yeah, no, the same questions will be asked to everybody.
Okay.
That's about all I got, Mayor.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, James. Excuse me. Item 6 is appointment of boards, commissions, and committees. And item A is consideration of appointment to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, Bill Buda's term.
Yes, we'd like to submit Ms. Sisk. She ran the football program this year. I think her first name's Mallory.
I started saying we need a name.
Forgot the first name. But she ran the football program this year, and she would be happy to serve out Billy's term and maybe be reappointed after his terms ends.
Okay, you've heard the name of the appointee. What's the board's pleasure?
Make a motion to assist.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the board to appoint Ms. Mallory Sisk to the term to fulfill Bill Buda's term. All in favor? And nays, like sign? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 7 is reports from committees, members of council, and other officers. Does anyone have anything they'd like to report? Nope. You guys are easy tonight. Item 8 is old business, unfinished business. Item A is consideration of the second reading of ordinance number 2023-15, budget amendment for Newport Grammar School.
And Mayor, the caption of that ordinance is ordinance number 2023-15, an ordinance of amending the annual operating budget and capital program of the city of Newport, Tennessee, fiscal year 2023-2024 for Newport Grammar School.
For the reading of the ordinance, what's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the consideration of second reading of ordinance number 2023-15, budget amendment for Newport Grammar School. It has been properly seconded. Please indicate your approval by the normal sign of aye.
Aye.
Nays, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. New business. Item A is consideration of resolution number 2023-07, Newport Utilities applying for fiscal year 2024 infrastructure planning grant funding.
I think Ms. Thornton had included in your packets the copy of the resolution that we were looking to approve tonight. Basically, this will show support of the city and allow us to be in a better position to be awarded these grants. They are infrastructure planning grants that will help with water and wastewater mapping, which is something that the utilities could very much use. Even in today's age, there are still things underground that we're not sure about the mapping on those. So grants like this would be wonderful for us to go for. And I did want to draw attention to the fact in this resolution, there is a 5% match that would be Newport Utilities' responsibility to pay. Is there any questions or anything for me?
This multiple grants or just one?
I think, the way I understand it, we can't exceed $500,000, and they're in buckets of $200,000, so perhaps we could get one for $200,000, another one for $200,000, and another one for $100,000. So we could get up to 3. And we want to be able to, throw our name in to be able to get some of this money.
When do you apply?
If this is approved, we would like to get a signature tonight, and I think we send it off tomorrow.
Page 2 tomorrow.
Yes.
And you'll be applying for how much in this first one? Is it
We'll go for all that we can,
go
yes.
for all of it? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anybody have any questions? Hearing none. You've heard the resolution. What's the board's pleasure?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion on the board to approve the resolution for Newport Utilities applying for fiscal year 2024 infrastructure planning grant funding. It has been properly seconded. Please indicate your acceptance by the normal sign of aye.
Aye.
And nays, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Item B is consideration of resolution of 2023-08, authorizing the City of Newport to hire engineering services for stormwater project.
This will be the project that will affect Indian Hills. For those of you that live there, this is hopefully addressing the channel that is slowly being carved into your neighborhood from the stormwater that comes down from the top of English Mountain and does nothing but pick up speed as it goes through the neighborhood. The plan is, we have money budgeted for the project total. We own a piece of property on the Cosby Highway. We're going to, in front of Bojangles, we're going to start there and make an improvement to that storm retention area and see if that doesn't, I think possibly, depending on what we do, that could fix it. If not, we'll move on to phase 2 down the road. But I need this firm, Barg Design Solutions. They're the one that did the stormwater study on the area, so I would like them also to design the detention pond. Because I don't think, and I'm not an engineer, but I don't think that it's properly holding the water and slowing it down. So Steve agrees. I think if we can slow the water down there and then kind of monitor after a rain event how it treats Indian Hills, we'll know if we need to move on to phase 2. So hopefully we can make this one improvement, fix the problem. If not, we'll address the next part. But people, bring me pictures all the time of exposed sewer pipes in their backyard where the water has just created such a drainage issue, and they want to be able to fix their property, but what's the point if the water is just going to come back and wash it out? So I'm hoping that we can knock it out in the phase 1, but we gotta design it and build it first to see. So this would hire the engineering firm.
If you do the pond, will there be some monies left over to kind of improve the ditch line too?
We don't have right-of-way on the ditch line, I don't think, Terry, unless you know anything better on that than I do. So what we could look at is acquiring an easement from everybody and some of the property owners are the most affected through there, and then we could do that, yes. Since we do own the property that we're going to work on first, there could be money left over. Just depends on what the math nerds think about it, because I don't know what we'd have to do to it to slow it down.
Is this the same piece of property you and I went out and looked at about a year ago?
I don't recall that. Where did we go?
It was up in the Indian Hills, I believe, but behind the lady that called me.
Oh, it's those properties are the ones that are affected. The area we're actually going to be working on first
In
is,
front of Bojangles.
yeah, because we own that. The second part that we looked at is behind the state garage, and we think that TDOT would be generous about that. And then the third is either going to be off of Heritage, would have to either get property or possibly come on the other side of the tree line there, and the state's got right away there, so maybe that would, so if buying the property is going to be a big dent in the budget, and that's phase 3 if we even get to that. I'm hoping this takes care of it, but that was sort of what we mapped out when we did the stormwater study. So, and that was a couple years ago, I know, but 2020 happened, so we kind of tapped the brake on what projects we went forward on, so we're circling back around to it now.
Okay. All right. Board, you've heard the resolution. What's the board's pleasure?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
He might ought to recuse himself.
I'll second it.
You second?
I did.
Okay. All right. We have a motion on the board to approve consideration of resolution number 2023-08, authorizing the city of Newport to hire engineering services for stormwater project. Has been properly seconded. All in favor? All right. And nays like sign? Hearing none, motion carries. Item C is consideration of mural for East Tennessee Artscape on Jefferson Avenue.
Oh, come on. I didn't know.
I believe y'all have included in your packet a portfolio of local artist Shannon Kelly, as well as a letter from the property owner. The proposed mural would be on one outer wall of Finley's Finds, which is run by Alexis McGaha Willis, her married name, I think.
Yeah, whatever married name.
Alexis, maiden name McGaha. The content, I think you also have a draft in there of the content. The content is just going to be like a naturescape, trees, flowers, clouds, just a little kind of bright and happy landscape sort of scene, depending on, where the inspiration from the artist takes her, but it will definitely just be a naturescape. But one question that came up when the Planning Commission approved it was whether or not there would be any lettering or other signage on it, and the answer to that is no, there will not. It's just going to be a image of nature.
Okay, you've heard
Was
the
passed
presentation.
on from the planning commission with a favorable approval as well.
Okay.
And the work began this past weekend on it?
She has drafted, chalked out an outline, and it's consistent with that computer-generated draft that you see there.
I have to go paint over it if you say no, so.
Does anybody want to see it?
Okay, you've heard the presentation. What's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion then for consideration of mural for East Tennessee Artscape on Jefferson Avenue. It has been properly seconded. Please signify your acceptance by aye. Aye. Nays like sign. Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you. Thanks for your
Thank you,
support.
Greta. Item D, consideration of community event in downtown Newport.
This I brought up last month. The plan is to block off Jefferson Avenue the Saturday after Thanksgiving, so that's 10, 11 days from now. And then so far, there's a little awful diagram I did of what we're thinking, but we could call an audible 2 steps in if it's not working out. But we're going to have tables and chairs, food trucks on Jefferson. We'll have an information table. The idea is to pull people in to Jefferson at the event area, give them a map to all of the businesses that are going to be open that Saturday, and try and send them back out into downtown Newport to patronize our small business owners. And we're doing it under the umbrella of the Main Street program that we're getting started. Monica's going to spearhead it for me because it would be terrible if I tried to plan this on top of everything else. So she's taking care of a lot of the details and calling the people and getting everybody there today, the day of. I'm just asking for your permission to A, close the street, and B, move forward with it, and also answer any questions you might have.
Are you working with the chamber on this as well?
Yes, they're handling the small business it's in conjunction with all the work they're doing on the Small Business Saturday promotion. This is downtown focused, so because that's a Cott County wide thing. Downtown / Main Street focused is the kind of the target for this event. But if someone stopped by and said, I really want to eat at Hardee's, where's Hardee's? We would point them up to Hardee's. So we won't discriminate if someone's looking for something that we don't have downtown.
Before we take a vote on this, I think you ought to announce the grant that the city just received.
Yeah, we signed the contract I announced it a couple months ago when we were applying for it. It is an ARC grant. Now we've got another ARC grant for downtown because one right now is handling this phase 2 of the stormwater. But this is the streetscape project, and when we first put in the application, we said for Woodlawn and that part of Main Street where the most dilapidated buildings are for a streetscape project. So redo the sidewalks, street trees, pedestrian lighting, nice street furniture, park benches, take one of the scariest streets in downtown Newport and turn it into the showcase for what the vision that we're creating of what downtown's going to be. So we got it, $1 million for us to use on this project. I hope that by the time we go into construction, $1 million goes further than it does right now, because like I said, we drew it out for Main Street and Woodlawn. I don't know if we're going to get Main Street in it. We may have to knock that off and try and come back with another application for a sort of phase 2 of the project. But hopefully with the redevelopment that we have planned there with East Tennessee LLC owning everything on the west side of Woodlawn, and then some of the other things that we're working with the property owners on, we can shut that street down and tear it up one time instead of twice while they're doing their work on their buildings. We can do the infrastructure work and then cut the ribbon on something that we can really be proud of. So $1 million, there's a match of about $200,000, I think, so it's 1.2 total, and hopefully, like I said, that'll get us, I hope that by the time we go to construction, that gets us further than it does right now.
When might that be?
The timeline on the grant is going to be for the next 24 months. The timeline on the private development starts the minute we get off Woodlawn with animal control. They've got, I think, 6 months to start at that point. So as long as we can get that taken care of, get out of there, and then work with them on when they start their development, I think it will all come to a confluence right at the same time. Fingers crossed.
Congratulations on the grant.
Thank you. It feels good. Like, it's one of those things, it's not like it's a weird thing because you put in all that work, and it's a lot of work, and then you send it off, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait, and then you hear about it, and I'd almost forgotten about it, to be honest. And then I was like, oh yeah, we probably need to sign this contract and get moving on it. So.
Okay, you've heard the presentation, then what's the board's pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, it's been we have a motion on the board for consideration of a community event downtown Newport. It has been properly seconded. Please signify your acceptance by aye. Aye. Nays, like sign. Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you all.
Item E is consideration of event Walk, Run, Pedal Jam Festival. Mr. Gary McClendon and Karen Seeds.
I'm going to come over here because we're actually going to show a video.
Okay.
So you can hear my voice, and believe you me, I can be loud. I won't need a microphone. You can pull that up.
I got you, just 1 second.
Thank you. My name is Karen Gillis, and I am with People Staff, Inc. And I'm here to talk to you about the Walk, Run, Pedal Jam Festival. Now, when you hear People Staff, Inc., you're probably thinking, how does that go with the festival? Well, People Staff, Inc., we were established in 1997, and we started out doing staffing, and it was very, very lucrative. And in 9/11, everything kind of hit the fan, and people weren't outsourcing as much as they were before. They were bringing things in-house. So we had to reinvent ourselves, and we did, and we started offering other things other than staffing. And so now we have a very healthy website development department, business consulting, entertainment, we have a sports division, and we do some things with the community. And we've always done things with the community, and it kind of evolved into a festival when COVID set in. We believe that once you get into business, it is your duty, if you're doing okay, and even if you're not, to give back to the community, because the community supports you. So we come up with community-focused things. One is the Walk, Run, Pedal Jam Festival. We're almost ready.
Windows isn't doing us any favors. We're at 2 more %. We'll be ready to go.
Okay.
Oh, now we're ready.
Okay. As I'm talking, okay, it's almost finished. As I'm talking, the video that's going to come up is a Walk, Run, Pedal Jam Festival. And the first one is one that we did in collaboration with the Tennessee Aquarium in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to go to Chattanooga to the aquarium. It's very nice. And they were celebrating 30 years. And so with us and another group, we actually had a festival downtown on the riverfront. And in celebration, we did a 30-minute walk, a 30-minute run, and a 30K bike ride. So you have a Walk, Run, Pedal Jam Festival. The festival includes a walk, a run, a bike ride. We've now incorporated a toddler walk. They don't walk far, but they do walk, and sometimes you'll see in one of the videos, some of our toddlers were probably about 8 or 9 on their knees running with the little kids, but that's okay, that's what kids will do. But we have a toddler walk too, and we give them medals and a little kiddie meal and that kind of stuff. The event is free to the public. Vendor tents, food trucks, free giveaways, and live music. So you have all of that in one particular day. We have, through the course of having a couple of events, we found that people were willing to contribute to the walk, the run, or the bike ride. So now what we have done is we've allowed or added nonprofits. So a nonprofit can have someone to walk for them, run for them, or ride a bike for them. And we do the marketing for it. We have a website, and you'll be able to see that, where we actually put the nonprofits there. They register with us. Every penny that they raise goes directly to the nonprofit. We don't get any of that. We can just push it out that says these are the nonprofits that you can run and walk for. We have been, since we've had 3 or 4, now we're taking it to other cities. There are several cities on the map that are looking to implement this, and this is something that we felt might be good for Newport. Not only is it good for your nonprofits, it's good for the community. It allows people, your local vendors, if you have a healthy food truck community, then to generate money. If not, there's nothing wrong with having food tents. That's one of the things that we're looking at for Knoxville next year, so that some local restaurants, small restaurants, might want to have a food tent. So you've got that coming. And then too, it gives us an opportunity to bring people to the city of Newport to see what you're doing and to see what you're about, and hopefully bring in more people that will come and patronize Newport, Tennessee.
Showtime?
It's showtime. Yeah. Now this first one is the one that we actually did at the aquarium, and you'll notice that you'll see the tents. Of course, with every festival, you have to have bubbles. Every child expects to have bubbles, and even some of us adults. different activities going on. At this particular festival, since it was the aquarium's 30th year anniversary, we had as our headliner Chris Blue. And I don't know if you know Chris, but Chris is from Knoxville, and he actually won season 12 of The Voice. So he was our headliner, but then we had music all day long. We had about 7 or 8 acts, I do believe, and with me is Gary McClendon, who is the president, CEO of People Staff Inc. My position is operations and the website development piece. But because it's operations, I end up doing a lot of the logistics for other things, and that's why I'm kind of leading the presentation today. With this particular event, we had about 10,000. It was recorded between 10 and 15,000 people that came through within that day. I don't know that we would want 10 to 15,000 people coming through Newport's festival, and we have several layers of what we can prepare, and we've narrowed this down to where we would probably only have about 4 acts. If there's a local act that wants to open up to help bring in people to the festival, then we're open to that too. One of the things that we also have at the festival is a kids zone. So it is family friendly, no alcohol. That's kind of something that we don't promote. That's the accident waiting to happen, and it can turn a family thing into something that isn't family. So it's pretty self-explanatory. The walk, run, bike ride for charity, vendor tents, food trucks, live music, free giveaways. We do the signage, the marketing, and we'll also coordinate with the local events person to bring this to your town. Are there any questions? That was kind of quick because I was told maybe about 5 to 10 minutes.
I have a question.
Sure.
Who chooses or decides on the nonprofits that will benefit from the event?
That's something we do in conjunction with the city. Yeah, the city has a nonprofit, and some cities do. And if you want to bring attention to that nonprofit and allow, if you feel like it will be supported, I would recommend that you do that. With us, it was pretty clear what we wanted to do in Chattanooga because the aquarium is a nonprofit. And it's something that is well attended, and something like every other nonprofit was looking for funding. And with this particular event, I can't tell you how much they raised. I can just tell you that they had events all week, based upon what they were able to bring in. Now that one is that the... Yeah. Okay, now that was the festival that we did with the aquarium, and then we followed up the next year where we actually, if you know where the aquarium is downtown, that's called the Riverfront, and we were right there. Then we moved the festival the following year to Coolidge Park, which is right across the river, with a much smaller group. And in this particular festival, ooh, you put up the price.
No one saw it.
Everyone saw it. With this particular festival, we had a nonprofit that actually used it as a springboard, and it's called Songbird. And Songbird actually had gotten a grant for, do you remember how many guitars they actually had the grant for? It looked like 1,000 guitars.
Bicycles, I could ride one.
But we gave away 3 different guitars for the people that attended. That was supposed to be the toddler walk. Can you see toddlers in there somewhere? But they were actually able to give away 3 guitars and kick off the program because they were looking for kids to join the program and didn't know how to get it out in the community. So this was a great way for them to do this.
So if this event is approved, what is the location? What location are you looking at in Newport?
That's where we would look to you. We would think the city park would be a good place to do that. It has adequate space. It has enough where we can kind of spread out with your vendor tents and your food trucks. And depending on what you want to do, I mean, let's face it, for the nonprofits, except for the bike ride, the walk and the run is more symbolic. So if you could just walk around the park for your nonprofit, run around the park for your nonprofit, Bike ride we'd have to talk about, because one of the things that you'll want to consider is if you have something that's a couple of miles, you'll get more bikers coming in here to ride in the bike ride, because they want to ride 15, 20K, 25K, and that would get you more people to the city. But you have to do that somewhere off premise, and that's fine, because matter of fact, we prefer it if you do it early in the morning, before the festival starts. You do the ride, and then they can come to the festival and enjoy the rest of the day. Maybe the festival would start around 11, and then go to about 6 or 7. You definitely want to be through before 9.
And is there any cost involved whatsoever for the city to you? Is there a charge?
There's a charge for
Yeah.
us, yes it is,
Okay.
because we have to pay the van. There's a lot of expenditures that go along with that.
Okay.
And that's on the,
And that's in
we
here?
got that, yeah, as a handout. I didn't want to, your mayor had it on the table. I was afraid if you had it, you wouldn't watch me. And I can give these to you over here. Thank you.
Tim, I'll run around the park if you will.
I'll chase you then.
I'm sorry, one more question.
Yes.
What, and it may be in here, and I have just not read it because I've been listening.
Yeah.
What date are you looking at for this?
The city would decide.
Okay, gotcha.
The city would decide. We've got several that are already committed. There's one in June. There's actually a second one that may be in June, and we're looking at one in August. We've already got 3 that have confirmed their dates for next year.
And one more question, I promise it's my last.
Keep going.
What brought you to Newport? How did Newport get on your radar?
Well,
Guilty.
Okay,
Full disclosure, Karen is my cousin.
okay.
She was born and raised in Jefferson City, and my grandfather and
my grandmother,
grandmother were brother and
brothers and
sister.
sisters.
Okay.
Yeah. But we actually had talked to Carson Newman, because I'm a Carson Newman grad, about doing that. And at the time, they were actually refocusing how they were going to do their event, because I really thought it would be a great thing for Carson Newman for homecoming to do something different, a festival, and, we can mix up the music. Right now, we have our standard band is a 13-piece band with a brass section. It's so good. And you name it, they play it. They play pop, not really rock, and I don't really know if they play much country, but they play my kind of music, where you're going to listen to maybe the Doobie Brothers, or something that is not offensive to anybody, or the Earth, Wind and Fire, those kinds of things. And then we have a young lady out of Nashville that does a lot of pop, kind of easy jazz kind of thing. And for Carson Newman, we were actually looking at a gospel fest, because we can do that too. So, we would talk about the music. Our musicians are fairly flexible. But yeah, we would have to coordinate with the city to come up with the venue, where we want to do the walk, the run, those kinds of things. And that's why you have in there consulting services, and we would need a point of contact for the event.
Just as an aside, when Karen first approached me about this, we looked at doing it in conjunction with the 8th of August Tennessee Picnic events, but the events are so similar, a lot of the activities are so similar, it just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So.
Any other questions with me? I think it would be a great event for the city. Depending on how quickly we can do this and decide what we're going to do, hopefully it would bring people to your local hotels, which means people are eating, those kinds of things. So, yeah. it can be a city impact event.
And we will look to bring the event back every year. You guys will have us. Just make it bigger and bigger and bigger every year. That's what we do with other cities.
Can I ask something, Mayor, please?
Please.
One of the things that Mr. Fincham and I and Gary have talked about is foundations, and how foundations can help us in Parks and Recreation in providing opportunities instead of always using tax dollars and acquiring grant monies. There's so many more opportunities out there in foundations that other people can apply with a partnership with the city or with the Parks and Rec. Gary and I are working just like we're working on a arts grant right now that we're trying to do some things with. This kind of fits in line with it. So it's definitely an area that our town needs to look at, especially in Parks and Rec on the foundation part of it. Not saying that that we want to be in control of other people's grant monies or their grant money, but they have a whole lot better opportunities to get those monies than what we do because of it going to a 501c3 foundations.
Thank you, Tim. Anybody have any other questions?
One more.
Go ahead.
Sorry. They're great questions. The promotion of the event, your company, you take care of that, or the city would?
We do.
Okay, so it wouldn't be an additional cost?
No,
Okay.
no. And if you could bring up the website, which is the very top link, we do have a website, and you know, not everybody does Facebook, but people do Facebook, and we would, of course, have Facebook promotions where we actually boost it so that when people log on, that they actually see it.
Sure.
We have some alliances with radio stations.
We have two really great local radio stations here and a wonderful local newspaper. Would you be utilizing?
Yes. And in most instances,
It's a little self-promotion.
well, and in most instances, what we end up for a sponsorship advertising on our platform and on our signage, we will work with the radio station to do if they'll promote that, we promote you.
Gotcha.
Kind of thing. So it works out.
Partnership.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you can scroll down, you can see the other cities that are getting involved. On the website, scroll down, please, all the way to the bottom. And look at
Those are the ones that we're actually working with right now.
So you guys will be on that list because we do an e-blast that goes out. It's about 15,000 people every week, and it's growing and growing. So it's a lot that we do. And me being an ex-professional athlete, I reach out to all the kids that I can, and I try to bring some of my friends to come in to participate in the bike ride. Not to walk, our knees are so bad, or to run, but we do a lot. I like what you do. Yeah. We built some websites for some local, what is it, Karen, youth organization, Red Bank, baseball, football, and help promote them so they can actually raise money for the organization. So it's a lot to do.
I think it's a great tie-in to the foundation parts of it so that other people can always get money. Before COVID, you talked a little bit about before COVID hit, what you guys were doing. And if you remember that Johnson City was doing stuff with 94 Jet or whatever it was, and they were doing a week-long event out of this type of program. On Monday, they had this type of programs. On Tuesday, they had this. Wednesday, they had this. Thursdays was more kids. And so they had a program that ran for a whole week. And it was exciting. Now, this was before COVID, and that ended up going away. But still, the partnerships were still formed, and they still have those opportunities for the monies.
And see, our very first one was during COVID. It was in 2020. And what we ended up doing was going to Riverfront, and we did 10-foot circles, 10 feet apart, and you could have 10 people in your circle. Now, to get to your circle, you had to wear your mask. And we had sanitation stations around, and we had our food trucks spread out, and we had our vendor tents spread out, And then people came and they could ride their bikes along the trail, they could walk, they could run. People were ready to get out of the house, but we couldn't be enclosed in anything. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to say that this is why he won, but the current mayor of Chattanooga had a vendor tent at our Walk, Run, Pedal, Jam Festival in 2020, and he took advantage of the vendor tent by coming to the stage and doing his spiel. It was supposed to be for his company, but I'm not going to say what all he talked about. But he did win.
I was one of the original members of the aquarium and the Riverwalk in Chattanooga when it started 32 years ago.
Was it not? And it's still wonderful.
Yeah, it's amazing what they've accomplished. And it's through the partnerships that they've created.
Yes. Yes, and that was our biggest festival. That was the biggest festival that was doing that with them. The 10 to 15,000 people, that's a lot to try to keep up with security, custodial.
We can't compete with that bridge.
We don't want to.
Pedestrian bridge and stuff like that, but
yeah.
Definitely there's a room for us.
Will there be a charge for vendors to set up?
We would not do that. When we do it ourselves, we do charge because we have to pay for it. But in working in conjunction with the city, that would be your call. We would capture the registration. You can set the fee.
These items on the bottom, is that what the city of Newport would be responsible for? Or
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you would be responsible for that. But when we have our vendor tents and food trucks, there's a place to sign up for your vendor tents. And in actuality, for the festival that's going to be in Knoxville next year, the first 50 vendors that sign up will sign up for free because they bring their people. The more vendors you have, the more people are going to come. So we're going to try that model with Knoxville next year because we're trying to get everybody to come down to the World's Fair site. So that's something that you would want to consider as to whether or not you want to charge for your vendor tents and your food truck, and that money would come back to you. We would just collect the information and share with them what your requirements are. Because I'm sure that as food trucks, I mean, they have to have some kind of health certificate, have to have a fire extinguisher, those kinds of things. We would pass those requirements to them. And as far as the local vendors, we would give them the standard waiver that we're not responsible for anything, no guns, no alcohol, no profanity, nothing that's, offensive at their tent, those kinds of things. We would handle that, but the city would determine whether or not people wanted to charge them. That would come back to you. And out of that, your nonprofits, we would give them, for those people that are walking, running, and riding a bike, for each of those, we would give at least 100 of the wristbands that says, I walked for whatever group, or I ran for whatever group, so that people can walk away with seeing that sign. Because for one thing, once a nonprofit gets involved, they get to come to the stage. That allows them to hopefully acquire more donors, more volunteers, and more exposure.
Okay.
So are we just starting discussion now? And the reason I'm asking James, has anybody talked to Tina about money?
No, that's what you read my mind. Excuse me.
Because we don't know where from the budget went to that.
Man, that was exactly what I was sitting here thinking about. I would suggest tabling this issue until the next meeting to where we can check with our finances and just get a better handle on where we are. Talk with Tim about doing it at the park. Get a better feel of what we could do and have it back on the agenda in December.
And one of the purpose really for our coming is to make you aware of it, hopefully pique your interest. And if you want to move forward, we would be more than willing to come back and have a working session so that all of those answers would, we could flush those out so that you truly knew what your commitments would be and what our commitments would be. And then you can make more of an informed decision, but we needed to get in front of you so that you could at least see what it was about.
I think it sounds like a really good thing, and I think it's something we could get behind once we get a better idea of exactly what we're looking at, from a obligation on our part, where we're going to do it, just the whole 9 yards. I think it'd be a little premature to move forward with it tonight when we've not done a little research on it.
I agree.
But I do think it sounds like something that would be good for the community. I think it's something that we could get behind if everything pans out all right.
Now, I will add that before we talked about this, I guess it's probably been several months ago, but Lucas and his group piqued their interest also. And I know the chamber is willing to work behind it and probably share some of the cost. I'm going to obligate you, Lucas.
So if you can just give us a little bit of a notice, we'll be more than happy to come back for a working session at your convenience.
December the 13th, I think.
14th or 13th?
13th. I've got my calendar right here.
I don't have my calendar with me.
It's
Are you doing all of the things?
December the 12th.
No, it's the
So we might be
13th.
25, 26.
We would need to
No,
meet
12,
before
yeah.
then, would we not?
Yeah, it'd be back on the agenda here.
Okay.
We meet the second Tuesday of the month.
No, I mean for our working session.
That's Gary is former Harlem Globetrotter.
Yeah, we just have to contact you, see what we can get everybody together and get some information together of our own.
Yeah, I've talked
All I know is not me.
not met him.
Mayor, you wouldn't care if I contacted the group out of Athens and Maryville and Murfreesboro and had a little talk with them about their events that they're doing?
Do it.
I wouldn't care at all, no. The more information we can gather, the better off I think we'll be in making a decision.
I have one question.
Yes.
How come Chattanooga is not on that list since you did it down at the aquarium? I kept wanting to say museum.
Last year we actually did two. Well, last year we did Chattanooga, but next year we're actually going to be at Camp Jordan, which is right across the street. Camp Jordan is in East Ridge.
It's a better facility. It's a park that has a 2-mile
Bike road.
trail, and it's more safe.
Kind of like when we looked at Cleveland.
Yeah, and it's contained. We don't have to leave the park, so you don't have to road closures. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, yeah, instead
I
of,
was just curious.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little odd.
no, and it's not, 6 miles from downtown Chattanooga?
It's like East Ridge, Tennessee is expanding so much.
Yes.
You got to make a motion.
So that's where it's going to be next year.
Exactly.
That's where it's going to be next year, is at Camp Jordan. Right now, we're just kind of going up and down with the
You know, the
date.
Hennon brothers donated that property.
Yeah.
No, I didn't, but I love it.
He's a moccasin, he knows.
They have something there all the time. It's well attended. They've got maybe 18 different fields for soccer, baseball. So the thing that we're trying to do is to have the festival when some of those activities are coming, because that guarantees that you have children and people already in the park.
Okay. All right. Are there any more questions? Hearing none, I think we have a suggestion to table the discussion until, for more information in December. So I don't think we need to have a vote on this one at this point. But is that satisfactory?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We will.
Good job.
I'm a good question asker.
It's her radio station, though. All right. The next item on the agenda is bids, purchases, and expenses, which apparently there are none. Are there any comments from citizens? Anyone wish to be heard? Hearing none, we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned.